In the depths of the dark forest. The watch was referring to the middle of the night, and the thick fog wrapped the small village of Willow Creek. In an abandoned old house, located on the edge of the forest, there were three brave friends who decided to explore his secrets. They were carrying their lanterns and chanting light jokes, trying to expel the fear that began to sneak into their hearts. Friends slowly entered the house, closed the doors behind them loudly. The rooms were dark and cold, and the old furniture is covered with dust. They heard strange voices that come from the upper floor, as if they were the moan of lives. Perhaps just a bat or a stray cat, Mark said as he tries to calm his nerves. I think we should get out of here, Emily said. But John, the most courageous among them, insisted on continuing. Don't be afraid, we are together. Nothing will happen to us. They started walking in the narrow corridors, and they soon found themselves in an old bedroom. There was an old doll dumped on the bed, and its eye is a broken glass. They felt chills that pass in their bodies when the doll suddenly moved. They cried out of terror, and rushed out of the room. But the door was closed, and the key is missing. They tried to break the window, but the glass was very thick. They found themselves in a dark and cold cellar. There was an open old coffin, and the body of a young woman wearing a white dress. Her eyes were wide open, and seemed to have died recently. Suddenly, the lanterns were extinguished, and the basement drowned in complete darkness. They heard evil laughs, and they felt cold hands holding their legs. They tried to scream, but no sound came out of their mouths. In complete darkness, they heard a faint whisper, getting more powerful with every moment. The sound was like the cry of a woman crying with heartburn, begging for death to take her. Suddenly, they felt a cold breath, as if an evil spirit blowing them. Emily lit up a few seconds before it was extinguished again, and revealed a terrifying scene. The corpse in the coffin had disappeared, and instead there was a small wooden door planted in the wall. They tried to open the door, but it was tightly closed. At that moment, they heard a familiar voice coming from afar. Mark's voice was, but with a suffocating voice as if it came from a far place. Follow the sound until they reached a small hidden room behind a moving wall. Inside the room, they found Mark restricted to a chair, and his eyes were wide open, as if he were in shock. Next, there was an old book written in a strange handwriting. John tried to decipher Mark's restrictions, but he was surprised that the ropes were rooted in his body. They started reading in the book, and discovered that the house was returning to an evil magician in which he lived for centuries. The magician had conducted demonic experiences, and used the house as a black magic laboratory. The woman they found in the coffin was one of his victims, and he turned her into an evil spirit guarding the house. Friends realized that they fell into a trap, and that the evil spirit would not allow them to escape. They began to feel very pain in their bodies, as if evil forces were trying to absorb their energy. Suddenly, the young woman appeared in the form of a ghost, and her eyes were burning with anger fire. She attacked them, trying to pull them to the other world. Friends shouted at their highest votes, and asked for help from God. At that moment, an old family image appeared on the wall. It was a picture of a previous family who was living at home. In the picture, there was an old man with a magic stick. John realized that this stick is the key to defeat the evil spirit. John searched for the stick everywhere, until he found it hidden behind an old plate. Hold the stick, and face it towards the ghost. He began to repeat a strong talisman, which was the spells he had read in the book. In a moment of excitement, the evil spirit disappeared, turned into a cloud of black smoke. Friends felt comfortable, and they knew that they triumphed over evil. John succeeded in dismantling Mark's restrictions, and they got out of the small room. They opened the door of the cellar, and rushed out. When they reached the open air, they felt as if they were born again. They looked at the abandoned house for the last time, and they were grateful because they managed to escape from this terrifying place. And they pledged to themselves not to return to it again. Friends returned to their village, but they have never forgotten what happened to them at the abandoned house. They held with them the memory of that terrifying night, and they warned others against going into such dangerous adventures.